It doesn't matter, even if he did say disorderly conduct. That's not a violation, because contrary to your belief,
What is
Officer Cottingham does also have freedom of speech.
what is disorderly conduct by law?
We didn't say this one.
Nobody said disorderly conduct. What he said was peace disturbance. So I'm going to go over with you the definition of peace disturbance so you understand. I'm going to give you the copy of these laws. You say you can look them up on your own, and that's great. But peace disturbance, okay? A person commits the crime of peace disturbance if, and then there's a list of things. Letter B is offensive language addressed in a face-to-face manner or to a specific individual under circumstances which are likely to produce an immediate violent response from a reasonable recipient. So would you say...
To a law enforcement officer,
So would
that
you
does
say-
not apply.
So would you say putting your finger up in somebody's face would be peace disturbance?
To a law enforcement officer, they cannot be.
We're not talking about whether it's to a
They
law
can.
enforcement.
They cannot be a
We're
complainant.
not talking about whether to it's law enforcement. You're correct on that. But we're not talking about whether it's to in law enforcement. You said that...
Was anybody else complaining?
Listen, that's not what you were arrested for. You were not arrested for peace disturbance.
It don't matter.
That part of it's irrelevant. But what you're complaining about...
You're trying to justify their actions.
Listen.
This ain't transparency.
Listen, what you were complaining about is what he said to you, which is, once again, freedom of speech, like you're claiming. But what he said to you was, you were claiming that the middle finger is always free speech. And he said to you, if you're putting it in somebody's face, it could be considered peace disturbance. He didn't say his face at that time. He said, if you are putting it in somebody's face, it could be considered peace disturbance. That is exactly what the law says. So he was just telling you what the law says, and then you became upset about that, and then you changed it to disorderly conduct when he never said that. He said peace disturbance. And it was not when he got out of the car, it was in the conversation between the two of you standing right there in the grass. So that is the part about disorderly conduct. That part is not anything that he said during the whole thing. Okay? Let's go to trespassing. So, for first-degree trespassing, in the state law, it's first-degree trespassing and second-degree trespassing. In municipal code, it's the exact same wording, it's just different name. First-degree trespassing is called trespassing. Second-degree is called trespass onto real property. Okay, so for the first part, you are correct. In order for first-degree trespassing, you need to have a fence and signs. Okay? For second-degree trespassing, none of that is required. Second-degree trespassing, and here's the words. A person commits trespass onto real property if he or she enters unlawfully upon the real property of another. That is it. There's no other requirements. No requirements for a fence or a sign. Now that one is a much less, it's just an infraction. It's a $400 fine maximum. There's no jail time for that, but it's still an offense. Okay? So there is that part. Standing in the roadway is an offense. Especially, you can see, right after you moved out of the roadway, a bus drove by. The same bus driver that probably complained to them that people are standing in the roadway, preventing them from driving through. So you did commit an offense. And just because you gave him the finger afterwards doesn't excuse you from that offense. It doesn't mean he can't come contact you because you gave him the finger. He can still contact you for the offenses that he saw. Do you understand that?
Whatever.
Okay, I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have to
Yes.
understand it.
Yes, I understand. It ain't gonna matter. We're gonna seek legal action.
For what?
He's violating my constitutional right.
By arresting you for an arrest warrant?
You know what for? He retaliated because of the middle finger.
He saw you commit an offense and then contacted you about that offense, and you don't want to admit that you did something wrong.
Oh, I did something wrong then. Okay, fine.
Right.
But by your ordinance, I did nothing wrong.
By which one?
The ticket that he gave me for.
Okay, so crossing at a crosswalk. You're welcome to fight that in court.
You ain't gonna read that one out?
I don't have it with me, but yet, so here's what it says.
Babe,
You're required,
tell him that one by heart so he knows, please.
I know what it says.
Tell me what is,
Required to use a crosswalk or cross at an intersection within business districts. Whether or not that's a business district, I would say that's your argument. But just because that's the ticket he wrote you and you want to fight it in court, you can fight that in court. That's your opportunity. But that's not even what he arrested you for. What he arrested you for was the arrest warrant.
if he wouldn't have ever stopped me for the bullshit ticket, he would never knew the arrest
He
warrant,
stopped you for-
which is a violation of my
He
rights.
stopped you for trespassing and obstructing.
I was
traffic?
not trespassing.
Okay, so you say you were standing in the road. You say that clearly in the video. You were standing in the road while there's a bus waiting to drive by.
There was no vehicles coming by.
As soon as you moved out of the road, the bus drove by. The same bus
There was no bus.
was the reason they were there.
There was no bus.
Honestly, I was bored trying to hear what was going on.
I'm not turning my cameras off, so.
All right, well, we won't show it to you again, but a bus drives by literally the second you step out of the road, a bus drives by.
I can't turn away because he has his cameras on, but that's the bus.
Yeah, I mean, the second you stepped out of the roadway, the bus drove
I
by.
don't trust these guys.
Are you saying we photoshopped the bus into the video?
Oh, I believe you might have.
Yeah, well, that's ridiculous.
I've seen enough corruption.
Here's the thing, there's no arguing with you, clearly. But they had a legitimate reason to stop you, in my opinion. They had a legitimate reason to stop you, and they did that. And you even admit that they had a legitimate reason to stop you.
And it was for retaliation, though.
So.
And he openly
once
admits,
again,
he openly admits on that body camera that I didn't finish watching. I did not bother with you until I seen the middle finger.
You just agreed
He
not to
didn't
talk
say
over
that.
anybody.
If you watched the video and listened to what was said, he didn't say that. You said that. You were the one that said that, and now you're saying that he said it. You were the one that said, you didn't come over here until I gave you the finger. As soon as you
This is
walked-
where I'm glad I had a witness,
Right. She just watched the video too.
because she was there and present.
It's, you were the one who said that. He never said that.
Just
And I
so,
saw that on video too.
just so you know, they turned me into what I'm doing now. I'm gonna be out there every day filming.
So here's,
I'm
Fox,
an antagonistic journalist. I was gonna be a First Amendment auditor because of these two.
That's the same thing. Both of those things you
These,
said are
no,
the same.
antagonistic journalist is totally different. I can say darn near anything I want. Darn near anything I want.
Mr. Fox, you still haven't mentioned what I did to you.
So we'll talk.
You played along with him and violated my rights.
So, Mr.
Cocky egos.
Mr. Fox, clearly there's no discussing with you. You're going to say what you want against all logic and against the facts. So I'm just going to tell you what I have to say, and then the meeting will be over, all right? So I'm going to give you this list here. One of the other things I'm going to add on here, so when you're talking about your antagonistic journalism, if you see an officer doing their duties and you approach and interfere, that is called obstructing an officer, all right? It is 100% called obstructing an officer. So I'll read it to you. Right
Can I
out of
speak
the-
a moment?
Wait a second, let me read this to you. So there's obstructing a city officer, there's a list of things, here's two of them. Number 4 is engage in conduct which a person knows or should know would prevent an officer from completing an investigation or performing any other lawful duty. And number 5 is refuse to comply with a lawful order of an officer when a person knows or should know that such refusal prevents the officer from completing an investigation or performing any other lawful duty. So I'll give you an example. Just a couple days after this, Officer Cottingham and Officer Walker were out in front of the come and go talking to another person when you walked up and began interfering with them dealing with that person. Yelling at the person, yelling at the officers, to the point that they couldn't even talk to each other. That is called obstructing an officer. If you want to if you want to record, that's fine. If you want to make comments or complain about whatever they did later, that's fine. But if you are yelling and getting in their face and approaching or doing anything else that is interfering with them and what they're trying to do with that person, even to the point that even the person that they were talking to asked you to stop. You were supposedly trying to protect the rights of that person, and that person asked you to stop.
And they can't snake me.
They can, because that is called obstructing an officer.
I was,
If it had been me
I,
there, I will tell you right now, if it had been me there, and I've been an officer for 19 years, and I have done this before when people interfere, I would have given you a warning to stop obstructing, and if you continued, I would have arrested you. it
and,
would have been
and,
perfectly
and you
legal.
would have violated the Supreme
No.
Court rule.
That would have been perfectly legal. Because
You would have
were not
violated-
allowed to interfere with an officer in the performance of their duties.
Officer Ludwig here says he would have arrested me that day,
Yes.
which is a crock, because Supreme Court states that I have to be 8 feet away.
There is no ruling on a distance.
Yes, there is.
And if I could correct you, it's sergeant.
I don't care.
And then also, just to educate you for the future, just so you don't get, well, I don't know. But anyway, if you voice in the complaint the ethnicity of me, and if you say the term color, that could be seen as hate speech. And so, just to negate that in the future for yourself, usually people of my
Well-
ethnicity you're not supposed to interrupt me, you just signed a paper saying you wouldn't interrupt. So usually people of my ethnicity are described as black or African American.
All right? I would have identified you as your name and badge number if you would have put it on the ticket like you were asked to. In the cop car.
All right, so, Mr. Fox, back to what we're talking about. So, don't obstruct officers, all right? If you want to record from a distance.
8
If you want
feet.
to give them the finger, and there is no set distance.
Yes,
If
there
you are-
is.
If you are interfering with what they are trying to do, that is obstructing, okay? If you're yelling to the point that they can't talk to the person they're trying to talk to, that is obstructing, okay? So, far away, not interfering is the rule, not,
8 feet.
it's not 8 feet away and you can do whatever you want. It's, don't interfere, don't do anything that's going to interfere with the officer's duties. And if they ask you to stop interfering with them, then stop interfering with them, right? You can still record, recording is not interfering, but you can't
So,
interfere.
so are we the feelings police now?
It's nothing about feelings, it's about interfering
Yes,
with them. trying to
yes,
do
it
their
is.
duties.
It's about feelings. They don't like it that I can express my grievance against them,
So,
so we're going to use their feelings against me.
If
Okay.
we didn't, then we wouldn't be
Here,
here.
we're done discussing, and I'm telling you now. These are the laws, if you do it again,
I'm going to take it to the Supreme Court.
that's fine. Yeah, that's your right to do that. Okay? So, we've discussed resisting or obstructing a city officer, peace disturbance, and trespassing. If you enter property that is real property of another, and it's not your property, and you're not supposed to be there, that is trespassing. There doesn't have to be offense or markings. Go ahead.
What is the legal definition of real property?
It's property owned by somebody. So, like if it's, private property owned by somebody. So not city property, but private property owned by an individual, by an institution or another organization.
So MSU is not private property because it is a public
It's still real
school.
property though.
It is a public school.
Right? It's still real property.
And the only way you can be
And you do,
trespassed
that's
from
so
a
much
public
of it.
school or a public property is commit disorderly conduct, which is terroristic threats, blah, 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 or already have committed another crime.
Here's the thing. At this point of this incident, you were already banned from MSU property, and that had already been communicated to you. Because of the way you act and the way you were treating their security staff, you were banned from the property. And that has already been made clear to you.
Thank you for that one on film.
So
Because now I can go after MSU for violating my constitutional rights.
they are allowed to ban you from their property.
They are banning me for my constitutional rights.
That is yours. At this point, I'm going to say the meeting's over.
So, pretty well, it's a big cover-up, guys.
There is no cover-up.
Yeah, it's a cover-up.
We explained, and you even agreed.
It's a
that
cover-up.
you committed an act that we could detain you for, but for some reason you think that once you give the finger, after you commit an act that you can't be detained for, that absolves you of anything.
It's retaliation.
Of anything. It's not retaliation.
Yes, it is.
So, do you know, you drew attention to yourself afterwards.
I'm going to do it every day.
You already had committed.
I'm gonna
something
do it every
wrong,
day.
And then you drew additional attention to
I'm going to do it every day.
That is not a smart thing to do.
I'm going to do it every day.
Crime, and then attract additional attention.
I'm gonna flip you off every day, every one of you.
That's not a crime. But if you're trespassing or obstructing traffic or doing something else that you're not supposed to be doing, and then you attract attention to yourself.
You done it. You done this.
An officer, here's the thing, you're acting like they did something wrong and they did not. You're trying to excuse your poor behavior by making up allegations against other people. You're gonna end up getting yourself in trouble if you continue to obstruct officers, right? Recording, giving the finger, that's all fine. Once again, not right up in people's face, because you're invading personal space.
I wasn't in their faces.
Okay. You were at one point.
No, I was not.
Video.
Not at the come and go one. He was detaining me, so I had every right to be in his
Right,
face.
not at the come and go one, but at the one we were talking about.
I had every right to be in his face because he was detaining me. I was showing a grievance,
Okay,
which is constitutionally protected under the First Amendment.
okay. So, you have a lot of things that you think are in the Constitution that aren't, but that's fine. You're allowed to think whatever you want. All right, so this meeting's over. I can tell you right now that this is as far, this is going. If you'd like to file additional complaint, that's fine. But this is,
Now, there's going to be a lawsuit.
that's fine. That's your right to file a lawsuit. All right.
Corrupt tyrants.
Amanda, maybe you can explain to him.
No, she knows why I'm like I am.